Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. If you're new to the show, our goal here is to create some content, some fantastic content for athletes, parents, and coaches. We tell stories, have laughs, and go into everything that is the end game of athletic performance, helping athletes achieve their optimal performance and be the best they can possibly be. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today, Coach Louis Jamison of Sport Hall, New Braunfels, CrossFit. In beautiful Texas.
You got it.
In New Braunfels, Texas. Correct?
Yes, that's the town of New Braunfels, Texas.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh, my German is not sprechen Sie Deutsch today. I'm a little off my egg.
That's all right. Maybe you should come visit, right? Maybe you should come visit, immerse yourself, and then be ready to go with it.
I really need to. How we're within the state of Texas? Where are you guys? How hot is it going to be?
Not hot yet, but it's going to get hot. Okay. It's going to get hot. We're in Central Texas, so we're in between Austin and San Antonio.
Okay.
So, I could be there's traffic, but I could be to downtown San Antonio in 30, 40 minutes. I could be to Austin, downtown in 40, 50 minutes. So just kind of tucked in the middle there. But they're growing. Everything along here is growing, so they're creeping in on us.
People are moving to Texas. That's nonstop. Holy cow!
But I can't complain. I moved to Texas, so I can't complain.
Louis, here let's jump into that then. For the tens of people that listen to the show who might not know you and how big of a deal you are, tell these people who you are and why you're such a big deal.
So what I do is I am co-owner in a gym here in town. It's called Sport Hall Braunfels CrossFit. I've been a co-owner for that for this last year and been part of that as a coach, as a member previously. And during that time, got into training youth athletes, primarily, personal training, small group training, is just a solo guy working out of a gym. And I really, have done that for a few years. It's been my passion. Prior to that, I spent some time as a, stay-at-home homeschooling dad, coached a lot of my kids' athletics and stuff. I also had some time in outside sales. But my first traditional job out of college, what I went to college for, was teaching. So I was a teacher and coach at the middle school level here. Did that for a few years and then moved for my wife's work, decided to get into something different. That's when I got on the sales track and we started living in Central Texas. And so, it's been good. I've had a lot of different experiences and a lot of things that have really equipped me to do well, I think, right now for what I'm pursuing. But at the core of it, my focus, my passion is youth athletics, helping kids get better. As a parent now, helping parents understand the process. I had a great experience as a youth athlete all the way up through, early, youth days up to got to compete as a college athlete as well. And so, I just had a genuine love for that. I had some special people that were very influential for me, and they were teachers and coaches. And so that's what led me to pursue teaching and coaching. And, the good thing is in this last, 15, 20 years, it's come full circle. I still get to teach. I still get to coach. I still get to be involved with youth athletes. But I get to guide and lead the adults too. And I love being able to speak to the parents, cause it's tough. I mean, I've always felt like, it takes a village to raise a kid. And with 2 kids of my own now, I lean on a lot of people, but I also want to be a source of, support for people that need it, because there's a lot of things at a lot of different times that people need. And, I enjoy being able to fill the gap that way.
Very cool. Very cool. I want to, people get a little hung up on little words here and there. And so I want to rewind for a second, because we said Sport Hall, New Braunfels, and then we threw in the word CrossFit there. And I guarantee you that just triggered half the world. Half people are all about it, and then half the people absolutely hate it. And so when it comes to, let's specifically talk about like the youth training piece, in the way of, are you having, let's right to this. Are you having 12-year-olds, aspiring Division I 12-year-olds doing Fran and Murph? Is that what's going on at your gym?
No, not at all.
Good. We got that off the record. Good. Okay. Nailed that.
No, I think, obviously CrossFit can be perceived as pretty broad or pretty specific. But when it comes to the youth sports, when it comes to things, it's the good old fashioned basics. It's weightlifting, it's sprinting, it's training, which if you go to a CrossFit gym, you'll see that most likely. You'll see adults who are doing that, but it's not in the sense of, constantly varied, high intensity, functional movements. You'll see some variety. You'll see some high intensity. You'll see functional movements, is speaking of training youth and athletes and of that such, but it's not what someone will perceive as I'm walking into a CrossFit gym and there's someone in the rings, there's someone swinging over there's someone dropping or throwing something over there. Again, that type of programming could be part of any kind of CrossFit gym. But as far as preparing youth athletes, it's not what someone would typically think of. It's certainly not what the CrossFit Games looks like. It's a very specific training modality, I feel, that prepares kids for the basics. And as you and I, kind of come from the same school of training thought, that's just what they need. They need the basics. They don't need to do the other things that maybe someone training for fitness, fitness competitions would need. They need the things that can help athletes, and not that CrossFitters aren't athletes or it doesn't carry over to athleticism, but it's different. It's different for a kid who's 12 and just hit a growth spurt and is just trying to figure out how to run good. We're certainly not going to be like, okay, get over there and burn it down, right? So it is not what maybe someone may perceive it to be for us.
So when we originally moved into this space, our legal business name has always been Oak Strength. With Oak Performance being the youth side of things. But we had paid for it early on, the CrossFit name, CrossFit Roscoe. And so when we moved to Loves Park, which is a different city, we just kind of let that die. But it was still like people still, for a little time we were still, an affiliate, but we had some of our athletes getting confused, and in the way of, oh yeah, my dad doesn't want me doing CrossFit. I'm like, Brooke, you've been here for, I'm thinking specifically some of the volleyball kids that we trained, that part of the club that we partnered with and whatnot. I'm like, Brooke, you're back squatting heavy, and I use air quotes here because that's relative, and we're doing some deadlifting, and we're doing a bunch of change direction work, and you're doing, some push-ups and pull-ups and pressing. What part of this is CrossFit? She's like, well, I just thought that's what it is. I'm like, no, this is training. Like this is, so I think it's interesting how people, in general pop is even worse, but if you put 100 CrossFit people in a room and said, hey, what is CrossFit? You're going to get 100 different answers. And so, in the way of, and yes, we very much are cut from the same cloth from the power athlete methodology. And, and it's, you can, again, more air quotes here. You can vary it. Now I have balloons on my screen. I don't know what's going on there. Holy cow.
Did you do that for me? Was that for my birthday?
I don't know how I got balloons going, but look at that. But to oh my gosh, you can, mix it up a little bit. I did it again. Okay. Air quotes, give me balloons. Like for variety and stuff like that. And just so you're not, but you need progressions. You need linear progressions. You need, hey, we back squatted this great. We're going to back squat next week, and we're going to do it with 5 more pounds. And then we're going to do it the next week with 5 more pounds. Or deadlifting the same, pressing the same. And that's where I think it ends up being a lot of the difference within the whole CrossFit thing, which is, goofy. Anyway, I just think people get hung up on words and such and yada, yada. But your background is so neat, where it's similar to mine with the teaching background. Great with the kids, you understand the whole process. It's fun. When you actually you get training and you work. We just had our last senior night, or we had senior night 2 nights ago, where our volleyball kids have their last tournament this weekend for the senior class, and then they're done. And it is such a great group of seniors. And some of these kids we've had for the last 6 years, and some of these kids we've had for the last 5 years and the last 4 years. And the fun thing is there's such a good group that kids have stuck. It's like, it started off being a small group, and then it's grown and grown and grown. And, now we have 60 seniors that are on their way out, and about 40 of them are playing in college next year. And it's awesome. Like it's so much fun to actually, see this process and see them progress from these little babies when they were in middle school to now, they grab the heavy plates, and they move the heavy load. Oh, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Anywho, Louis is, I don't know where I was going with that. I still have senior night on my mind.
I know. I'm with. So I've actually. So with the gym, I've done a homeschool phys ed program. And so it's a nice little niche down here. And I've done that. I've been part of it for 5 years now. And same thing. I've had kids that have come through and been with me for 3-4 years, and it's the same stuff. The power athlete, it's bedrock, it's the basics, and they love it because every year, every month, they're getting stronger. Like I said, that linear progression, and it's a confidence builder. I think that's one of the biggest things I've realized that. For the athletes, for sure, but for for that segment of kids that aren't usually playing some type of athletic sport, it's a confidence builder. I mean, I've gotten messages where parents are like, "Man, they hated coming. I had to drag them here in a couple months now. They love coming here. What'd you do?" And I think I just showed them that they can do it. I mean, it's so simple. It's ridiculously simple to just teach them how to deadlift and teach them how to add 5 or 10 pounds every week, and they love it. The sense of accomplishment, the self confidence they get from that. I tell you what, teaching kids how to do a rope climb, ridiculously underrated. I mean, if I can teach a kid how to use their feet, they feel like they can take on the world. And so that's been a great thing. And it does. It just comes back to teaching them the basics, keeping it safe, keeping it fun. We have a little fun game, fun day as well with our curriculum, so to speak. But it is really rewarding to see these kids come back, because I realize they got a choice. I mean, the parents could say, no, they know how to lift. I don't need to come back again. Or I've got my phys ed credit, but they come back, and then it does get to be fun. You get to know them. They get to know you. They call them like my little mini coaches on the floor. Cause sometimes when a new kid comes in, I'll put them with one of the experienced kids, and they love working with the big kids. Big kid loves being looked at like they know what's going on. It's super rewarding to see the kids grow into it and enjoy it. And for me, find fitness to be fun, whether they play a sport now, never, for a long time. I just want them to know that working out is not punishment. It's fun, and it's going to help take care of them for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and we were just lamenting here before we hit record here. We're basically the same age, even though we're extremely good looking and look much younger than what we actually are. But we're getting up there. We might be coming down the backside of the hill here, backside of the mountain. But in the way of finding balance with, and I say balance because that's such a hard thing, and that means so many different things to different people. And I've seen some kids that my kids wrestle, and there are kids who they're in the wrestling room 9 hours a day. Don't you go to school? Like, do you have homework? Like, but they love it. Like they absolutely genuinely live. Like they don't want to do anything else. And then there are other kids that that their level of commitment is much lower. So I always think it's interesting, depending on the kid. Like some kids fall in love with things, and I've seen it with my own kids with who knows what, it could be some goofy game. It could be some weird project. It could be, it's just interesting what kids get kind of hooked into and whatnot. As a parent, let's change the direction here. As a parent, your son is 15 and your daughter is 12. Okay. So you're in the thick of it right now. And they're doing, what did you say? 87 different sports this summer? Is that what you signed up for? Okay.
Almost, yeah. So my son Parker, he's a freshman. He did freshman football. And again, down in Texas here, right? Everything's bigger. Well, we live in an area where it's big schools, right? It's very nice. It's, everything's pretty serious. So he does football in the fall, tried out for basketball, made basketball. He's tall, so that helped. And then he's traditionally done lacrosse in the springtime. He's done lacrosse for several years now. And so he signed up for lacrosse. They threw him in track and field for a couple meets as well. So that was going on. Also, they lift in school, right? So let's make sure we get that in. And then, our daughter is 12. She does a little tumbling class on Saturdays just for funsies. But softball is her main thing. She enjoys that. So she does that spring and fall. She likes basketball, so we've done the youth league, and next year will be tryouts for middle school. But we do the private lessons. She's a pitcher, and so we invest in the time to go get her pitching lessons in that for softball. And I think that's all she does. I think that's all for now. But then next year starts 7th grade, so more opportunities, but not free, right? Because we live in an area where they cut, right? They got a lot of kids, not a lot of spots on teams. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So from a parent side of things, so my oldest is also in 6th grade, Reed's 12, and wrestles and soccer. However, soccer is kind of interesting, and we might be doing football come fall. So he's kind of excited about it. He's not the biggest kid. He's got some different genetics than your family, Louis. Just we're a little smaller down here. And then Quinn is 9, going to be fourth grade next year. And so from your end of things, put on your parent hat, take off your coach hat. What in the way of physical development, athletic training, sports performance, strength conditioning, whatever you want to call it here, for your son, for your daughter, what is going through your mind, and not like long term, and then bring it back to, hey, this is what I, in a perfect world, this is what the next year kind of looks like, because obviously you want them to do well, but it's not like Olympics or bust. Get out of my house. You're not. I wanted you to be Tiger Woods, and you're not. You're like, I'm pretty sure that's not you as a father. So what long term? How do you see this happening? And then over the next, short term, what do you think? What's ideal for you and your kids?
Yeah. So long term, I want my kids to learn safe movements, or how to move safely, how to move correctly for them. I want them to appreciate working out and have fun. I want them to do it safely. And I do want them to know that I won't be there with them in the weight room, most likely, at least here in schools. And so I need them to know, don't jump in with the bros, right? Make sure you know what you're being taught or asked to do. And I want you to always come to me and let me know. And so for me, long term, as a parent, as a former athlete, I love sports. My thing was football. I loved it. It worked out great for me. I've told my kids whatever they want to do, it's up to them. If for my son it's football, great. If not, great. I do hope they do something, because I think there's so many things they can learn from participation in individual sports, team sports, whatever it may be. But long term, I want them to enjoy it. I want them to play as many things as they can, as long as they can. And that's becoming challenging. But I want them to have their experience. I want them to learn to work hard. I want them to have coaches that pour into them and help develop them as a person. And fortunately, we've had some really great ones. We're working with them right now. I'm really excited about what my daughter's been able to kind of tap into for herself with her softball pitching coach. For my son, I've met some of his coaches. I totally did the dad thing last year, going into 9th grade, serious football, right? And I just want to go meet the strength conditioning coach and one of the football coaches, and super great guys, very gracious. They said, hey man, we're going to push him. We're going to love on him. I'm like, okay, good. So I want that for them. I also know that there's going to be times when maybe they don't have a coach who does that for whatever reason, because I had that and everyone has that. But long term, I want them to get what they want out of it. I mean, if they want to chase something big that goes beyond high school, great. If they just want to be part of it and enjoy being a bro on the team, that's fine. I've really had to make sure I keep my expectations in check and let them know, like, I'm a dad, and I'm going to have my feelings and emotions and passions about it, but it's for you, right? And I don't want to stand in the way of that. So I feel like I've done good with that. Bringing it back short term, I want them to work hard. I want them to decide and have goals and work towards those goals. And I want them to also understand where they're at in their journey, and how it's not exactly maybe ideal to compare to others. And that's been something that, with my son being in 9th grade, we've seen it, and my daughter's about to go through it. And I'd love to talk about that a little further. So Parker, my son, he's in 9th grade. He's a big kid. He's 6'4.5". He's 220 pounds. He moves well. He's a good athlete.
Me.
Yeah, well, he's about to dominate me. So sometimes he thinks he can tell me to do my chores, and I got to remind him I got the old man strength ready. And it's great. Like, my brother's 6'8". We got big genes. We knew he was going to be big, the growth chart, everything right. And one of the tough things is he was younger. Like you mentioned, you had the kids who that's all they want to do, right? Basketball, right? That's an easy one. We didn't play football. Basketball was one of the ones we did early on. And you got the kids who, like, I'm talking from 3rd, 4th grade, could dribble both hands, right? They just were naturally wired up, or they just had it. or they just loved it. They did. The bad parents are like, oh, all he does is dribble in the driveway. So seeing kids like that, and then seeing kids are just in the middle of the road trying to figure out which hoop are we shooting at. And this goes to all the sports, football, all these things. The kids that were natural at 6th grade, 7th grade, the kids who hit puberty first, man, the 6th graders that had leg hair and a mustache and just dominated whatever sport it was, all the sports. And trying to, for me as a dad, speaking to my son, like, listen, man, you're going to be fine. Because, and again, football, it's Texas is what I know the most about, but, he's a big kid, and the coaches were like, yeah, great, big kid. And his IQ was slow. He didn't understand it. He didn't talk in 7th grade, his first year playing. He didn't know what was going on, what we were supposed to do. He's got the kid who's been playing football since he was, 1st grade, just knocking heads and just, running the show out there. And I just reminded him, like, look, man, everyone's going to even out, right? Everyone's going to hit their growth spurt. Some are going to hit it sooner. Some are going to hit it later. Some have been doing this for 5 years. You've been doing this for 1 year. You're going to get better at it.
So he started football in 7th grade.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he started football in 7th grade.
Was that planned, or is that just okay?
Yeah, that was planned. Honestly, as a parent, I'm like, well, I don't think little kids need to be knocking heads. Just my opinion for me. I just wasn't a fan of it.
I completely agree. Like we didn't start anything tackle until 7th grade. We did some flag football, which was a complete joke in 6th grade. But we didn't have like this youth, programming thing, which we do now, which to each their own. I don't care, whatever you want to do. However, concussion rates have gone up. And what I've seen is that if you get dinged as a 8-year-old, it's really easy for concussions to keep coming back. And and we've had kids that have not finished their high school careers because they've gotten too many concussions by the time they're sophomores. And that I'm not a fan of at all. So when trying to over the last, little bit, the kids have gotten older. We've been playing more catch in the backyard, and, we watched the Bears and we all cry together because it's embarrassing. The only thing worse is being a Cowboys fan. So, it's, terrible, but, like the kids have gotten more into it. And so Reed is kind of excited about, doing football in the fall, but now my youngest Quinn wants to do football too. Oh, if he's doing it, I want to do it. Is there football for me? And there is, but I kind of like we've done soccer in the fall. That's what we did. I really like soccer in the way, like the footwork stuff, the communication, like you got to be able, like, I think you get more athletic development out of that sport, than what you do with the football thing. And then I also think there's a safety thing, especially with the, concussion stuff. Cause I don't fault you for going in and talking to football coaches. I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked at anything football since 1997 outside of watching, high school, college, and professional from time to time. But like, I don't know the proper way to tackle someone in 2024. Because in our day, it was, I put my head right through their chest. That's what we did. And it hurt because it was supposed to hurt. Duh. And the more like nicked up your helmet was on the front, the better of a player you were, because you didn't want the clean jersey. You didn't want the clean helmet. You wanted all the marks, on the front. And that's why I'm not nearly as smart as what I should be. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I lost some brain cells back in the 90s. So I love that you did what you did there. I think it's very appropriate for parents to have conversations with coaches, especially when you get into something as physical as what football is, because I mean, there's a safety thing. And if it's a bunch of dads who, and no offense, like I've been that dad, I'm a USAW wrestling coach and I know very little about wrestling, but I do my best to keep the kids safe and like, how's it going? You need a Band-Aid? I get Band-Aids. Like that's Adam's role. I'm not actually running drills because that's not helping people. But no, I think I love what you did there. I just want to applaud that because I think a lot of, not that you want to be that crazy overbearing parent at all, but it is your kid and you need them safe. So,
and I understand what's coming, because I did that, right? And I had injuries, and I think it's just, there's people that play sports and never get injured, and that's great. But I understand what's going on. But you're right. I also understand that at least with the middle school, like, yeah, you got kids that have been doing this and they're headhunters, and it's not right. It's within the framework of the game, I think. So, I feel like, but as we got to this high school level, I mean, we're talking about some grown looking kids here. I mean, my son, he's ninth grade, but he's going to go to play against these schools that, yeah, 6'5", 250. I mean, it's not unusual. It's not unusual down here for that. But so early on, yeah, I mean, and I think that's, whatever the sport is. I mean, there's going to be the kids that grow fast and quick and can do it. And, but my son wasn't that. He was always big. And so I told him, like, just stay with it. You'll get there. And then interestingly, also, that's what led us to lacrosse, is because, like, well, I don't want them really knocking heads. And youth lacrosse doesn't have much contact. Older lacrosse can and does. Not the kind of football contact, but I was like, look, man, at a lacrosse practice when he was in elementary school, it's like, you're a lineman and you're trying to keep up with receivers and D-backs. Just do your best, right? You're going to lose, but in a few years, when things click, you're going to be doing all right. And as I know, that has paid huge dividends for his basketball, his ability to move for basketball, football as well, all the different sports, and lacrosse, because he still loves that. Directly, yeah. I don't think many people realize that, but the idea, the aspect of in lacrosse, it's a goal sport, right? Basketball is a goal sport. The movement, the lateral movement, the change of direction. Parker would play. He played defense in lacrosse, and it's just like basketball defense. You're switching, you're picking. I'm shameless plug, but if you have an offensive lineman for a kid, put him in lacrosse, have him play defense. Again, he's probably going to get smoked by these short dudes, but you want to talk about movement, foot movement for pass protection. That's all it is. You're protecting your goalie, keep him on the outside. So my plug for lacrosse, but yes, the same thing, the footwork, the coordination, it's a ball stick sport. So, yeah, I remember Parker even saying it was his third season. He was in fifth or sixth grade. He's like, yeah, Dad, like, I feel like I can cradle. I like the whole, he's like, I got good control now. And I was like, bro, I'm so proud of you, because it took him 3 seasons to do that. And a lot of kids would, because it's tough. And if you drop the ball, everyone knows, right? And the play goes by, and youth lacrosse looks kind of ugly until these kids kind of put it together. But I think it's again, down here, it's not a big thing. We're growing it. I'm on the board for helping grow our high school team. We started that this year. But lacrosse, I think, is a great alternative to some contact, some collision, and being able to move through space. And I've seen big kids play across, the small guys. I think that's a sport that rewards all types of different sizes and athleticisms. But that's what we did, right? And the basketball wasn't great. It was always watered down, right? The rules, you can't steal. You got to do this. It wasn't real basketball until we got to middle school. And so I think lacrosse really helped improve his athleticism and perseverance. And now that he's in ninth grade, fast forward, we're seeing the kids who, man, they've played football since they were in second grade, and they're not that into it. I mean, they've worked hard. It's always been a job, or it's always been mom or dad yelling from the sideline. And I do feel like we kind of did well with Parker, because he's still learning. He's still picking things up. It's new to him. And now it gets serious. Now it's not a job, but it's serious. I mean, these coaches, at least where we're at, they demand a lot of involvement and a lot of time and effort and commitment, for football, for basketball, for all these sports. And I think for us, we were always ones like, better late than early. Even when we homeschooled, that was one of our philosophies, better late than early, right? We don't want to rush it. We don't want to crush it. But when they grow into it, when everyone goes through puberty, when everyone starts to level out, then that's when it becomes needed to really have the desire to, like, okay, like, this is gonna be tough, but it's still fun for me, versus, oh man, I do this all the time, and I'm burned out on it. And I truly believe that whatever the sport is, and volleyball is a big thing around here as well. I don't know. I just wasn't, my wife and I weren't in a hurry to have our kids be the best ninth graders, or the best seventh graders. I want them to peak as late as possible. I mean, to me, that seems normal, common sense thinking. But again, to each their own. But through my journey, if you looked at me in ninth grade, you would not have said, oh, that's the one who's going to have a chance at college. And I've even talked, in the college athletes, it's like, well, when you get to college and everyone's there, it's like the ones who get to maybe go on are the ones who like, there's still more room for them to peak or get better. Or, some of those stories where you hear like, oh, they just picked it up a couple years ago and they were just an athlete. They could do it. But I want my kids to peak as late as possible. And enjoy the process. Like I said, I'm not an idiot. I don't want to say, I shouldn't say that. I'm not oblivious to the fact that the high school college landscapes has changed dramatically since we came through, right? Man, if I could have just got a free pizza a week to say, hey, go to so-and-so pizza place, I'd have loved it. But the fact that kids now can get paid, I'm okay with that. And the fact that trickles down to high school, which it does, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, my kid he's ninth grade. He's almost 6'5", 220. And he looks and moves well. If it's what he wants to do, great. Go chase college. If it's not, then don't. Go do what you want to do. But I just think that a lot of times people get hung up on this is going to be an opportunity, a meal ticket. And again, I know college is expensive. We'll figure that out. But I've told Parker, you can't teach someone to be 6'5". And if it's what you want to do and it works out for you, great. But if not, that's fine too. And even for our daughter, I mean, she's enjoying pitching. Softball is competitive down here. It's competitive everywhere. But we've told her, like, if you enjoy it, do it. And if it leads to the biggest D1 school or the smallest D3 school, or you just want to play on a club team, go do that. We support it. So we've enjoyed the idea of like, we don't want to, it is truly the crock pot, not the microwave. I don't care how good they get now. I just want them to keep working hard, keep getting better. And use what they've got. I mean, everyone's, genetic, geography, opportunity. I've heard that from along the way. So we do. I mean, as my wife and I, we're fortunate that we can support those things. I realize also, like, we're blessed in the way that we can, time and effort and expenses, we can support what we're signing our kids up for. So so that's what we do. Yeah. Yeah, I said, yeah, we don't want to rush it or crush it. Don't rush it, don't crush it. Because I feel like that's what it is. And seeing that and talking, man, I could totally be the meathead dad. And there's a side of me that would love to do that, but I keep it in check. But I do feel like, yes, like it's such a rush to be there in ninth grade, where if you're not a varsity starter in 10th grade, well, you might as well quit, right? Because there's no chance. I feel like that's so wrong, but I also, as a parent having the experience of a kid go through middle school, it can be tough to swallow that. Because again, we live in an area where there's big schools, a lot of big schools. And so for us in 7th grade football, everyone made it. No one got cut. There's A team, there's B team. Everyone got to play. In basketball, I think 70 kids went out for the 7th grade team. And Parker, fortunately, because he was tall, and I love him, but I mean, honestly, he wasn't a good basketball player. He made the A or B team, made one of the teams in 7th grade. Well, those 20 kids made it. The other 50 kids, they're like, well, gee whiz, if I can't make the 7th grade team, I got no shot in the world. I'm done with basketball. And I've seen that, and then find a different sport. But some of them, and I've heard this from the high school coach, our local high school. It's like, you know what? There's always a kid in the background who he shows up as a freshman and he's 5'9", 150 pounds. And then by the time he's a junior, he is 6'3" and 109, 108, whatever. I mean, he's ready to play. And so I feel like there's those late bloomers. But I also feel like, and this is what gets in my passion, because I grew up in a small school in a small area, I had a very different experience. No one got cut from anything. But here we've got, if it's, football is no cut, but volleyball, basketball, soccer, whatever the school sport, they cut, right? And I get it, because there's not unlimited resources, there's not unlimited opportunities. But to me, that now removes an avenue for someone to be active, right? I'm phys ed teaching. That was my degree. I love it. I want people to play a sport. Whatever it is, play something, do something, be active forever. And so now one of the things I enjoy is helping kids find the weight room, just be active, and then go play something or do something, try something new. Because I think that if you fall out of it early on, you think that, well, I wasn't good at 7th or 8th grade, I'll never be good. it's just not cool. And I think for me, not that I needed another non-paying volunteer gig to start this whole lacrosse program, but it's an avenue. And in speaking with the school principal, he's like, I love the idea of something that will give kids an opportunity, right? If it gives a kid who's not doing anything right now a chance to find connection to the school and be part of something, I support that. And we love that. And so I do. I think that if people can find what they like, whether it's riding BMX bikes or I had a kid who came in and started working out and got into mountain bike racing, loves that. Or just lifting weights, right? Some kids just like the confidence. And I've got kids that they just want to go in the corner, do their own workout, and then that's it. I'm cool with that. But I just want people to be active and do things and realize that, yeah, like if you do want to pursue sports, 7th, 8th grade is not the end all be all. Because I've seen it now, and I've seen the kids who they were the biggest and baddest in 7th, 8th grade, but everybody else hit their growth spurt and now they're not. And so I think about that too, right? Maybe they need a different opportunity, a new sport, something to try and fit their mold for right now. So it is. It's the middle school thing was interesting. I mean, there was a lot of push, and I think if Parker had been an average size kid, we might have had to maybe do some things differently or something. For our daughter, we'll sort that out, right? Because she's going to go to 7th grade and she's going to have to compete for a spot in basketball. But I don't know. I mean, I just think it's really tough. And then, as a parent, add in the dynamic of just middle school, being a teenager, being a kid. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so, I don't know, man. I don't have the answers, but just thinking out loud, it's a lot to balance. As a parent, where do we spend our time and money and resources, and what's the payoff? Because let's be honest, some of these things aren't cheap. If you're traveling, hitting the road, I don't know. I mean, there's also a part of me too that I've seen it. We see it where, some families get priced out of these activities, right? And so, what's the solution for them? I don't know, but, I just realize it's a tough thing and it can be challenging. And then you got, again, hopefully we've been blessed with good coaches, right? Maybe you have a coach who genuinely isn't there for the right reasons and that railroads your kid or something. It's a lot. It can be a lot to have to process. And like parenting, like owning a business, there's not much of a handbook sometimes. So you just got to kind of beat your way blindfolded and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I love your attitude with this, because it's such a, how do I say this? It is quite the journey. This is a long, hard journey, for kids, for parents. They need that support. It is a marathon, not a sprint. I am amazed. And sorry, you said so many good things here. I'm going to dial these things in. The puberty thing with boys is so interesting. We will because I was that late bloomer that didn't really bloom a whole lot, but I started on the football team in 7th and 8th grade. 9th grade, everybody got bigger. Adam stayed the same size. So Adam found himself on the bench freshman year, and I was embarrassed. I was on kickoff and kick return. No, I wasn't on kickoff because I wasn't fast. I was on kick return. And I was the long snapper. It was oh, how can we get this kid on the field? Thanks, coach. But that's when I found the weight room, because I'm this sucks. I hate not playing. I need to get stronger, faster, bigger, better. And I got a little bit marginally there, but we were also running off the 1994 Bigger, Faster, Stronger program.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, the dude with the hair. Oh my gosh. Yes. The VHS.
Always classic, always fun. We didn't deadlift because that hurt your back, and all the good stuff. But it's so interesting that, and we see this with our boys. And I feel bad for our girls, because our boys will disappear for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever. I'm thinking specifically our volleyball kids. We train them during the club season, but then they go into their school volleyball season, which feeds into the summer, which it's impossible to work out in the summer, says Adam sarcastically. But all of a sudden, then we'll see them back at the beginning of the club season, and these stinking boys will put them on the Sparta plate and jump them, and they will be jumping higher and more efficiently than ever, higher Sparta score than ever. We're like, son of a gun. If the girls try to do this, with it, they hit puberty, they put on weight, healthy female weight, and I'm not an expert in which to talk about female puberty, but like they'll probably put on 10 pounds, and it's not all muscle, and it doesn't help them jump higher. And the boys get bigger and hairier and smellier, and they will get better, and they won't do anything. They won't lift weights. They'll play more video games than anything, and all of a sudden they're just so it's kind of unfair at times, how that happens. But you see that boy who's a dominant freshman, and his head gets big. Look how great I am, and da, 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 da. And then kids catch up, and then come senior year, you would think he'd be that same stud that he was as a freshman, and he's not. And he, and now he mentally he's all kind of screwed up. He's like, oh, I was so good, I was the leader, I was the captain, and now I'm like the third option. Like, what's going on here? Why isn't I used to get a red carpet rolled out for me, and now I'm just so for you to have a kid with the genetic potential that he has, due to his parents being phenomenal athletes, like it is like, but at the same breath, not being like all or none. Like I see parents at different sporting events my kids attend, specifically soccer. Like they get into it so much. I'm like, guys, we got another game in 3 hours. We have a game tomorrow. Like, calm down. Good job. Work hard. Like get out there and do it. Have a standard. Like, you should work hard. You should enjoy this process. But man, I mean, there's so many variables out of our control that make this happen. And then the other thing I want to hit on too is that how lacrosse helped the basketball, which helped the football, which some of the best athletes I've coached. The kid that came to mind, Kim Boyles. I coached Kim early on, like we're talking 20 years ago, in my teaching career. And Kim did cross country, and she did basketball, and she did track and field. And when Kim was on the free throw line, when we were down 2 with, and she's shooting a 1-and-1, we were confident Kim's going to put these 2 baskets in, and we're going to overtime. Like there was not a doubt. When we're at the state cross country meet, and all of our little freshmen and sophomores are like, oh, I'm so nervous. Da, da, da. Kim's as calm as a cucumber, being like, guys, we're just running. They're going to shoot the gun. We're going to run that way and take a left and go into the woods. Like, this isn't, we've done this 1,000 times before. Calm down. When we're at sectionals and we're trying to qualify the team for the 4x8, they're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Did it? Guys, just pass the baton. Pass the baton. You run really hard, and you pass it's just like that common sense, that maturity that comes through. Because I think all those sports helped the other sports. We have a girl right now, Megan Holler is one of my favorite stinking kids, and she's been inconsistent with us training. She's a volleyball kid, but that's because she does basketball and she does softball, and she has all these other skill sets that you can develop in a weight room, but it sometimes can be hard, and you can always develop that weight room stuff a little later too. So like, I've told her that she's going to be absolutely, she's playing volleyball at Southeast Missouri next year, SEMO, and I feel like SEMO's getting a steal, because I think Megan's ceiling is so high, because she's lifted, she's relatively strong, but she's not as strong as what she can be. And oh my gosh, because once she does, like, because we're in the middle of softball season right now, and it's like they have a game, and we don't see them, and and it's tough, but it's like her ability in which to just the natural footwork that comes with like fielding a ground ball at short and throwing it is very, I don't want to say it's the same footwork, but like she's got to set a ball that's like, not an easy perfect set, but she's able to get her feet there and make that play. The blocking that she has in volleyball, very similar to her going up and getting a rebound and landing soft, because like in basketball, you got to land and go. Like, there's no like, oh, I'll catch and then I'll go. Like, no, it's fast. So it's funny to see how everything affects everything. And then you throw the whole like athlete development, puberty thing on top of that, which is just a big atomic bomb, blowing it up, either good or bad, or whatever it might be. I'm trying, now that my oldest is interested in football, I'm like, buddy, we can do this. He's a little bit like his mother in the sense of like, he's not exactly, doesn't exactly love pain or like, things like that. Like, we just need to be prepped for it, and I've told him like, buddy, this is going to be hard. You've not done anything like this before. What you do in the backyard with your brother, is not the same thing as what you're about to get. So if you do this, my recommendation is that, and we have this little, phase 1 program for younger kids, no barbells, some dumbbell, kettlebell, but a lot of the power athlete warm up stuff, dead bugs for days, side pillars, all the things. I'm like, I would highly recommend you work through this program 2 or 3 days a week. He's been around here enough he knows all the movements. Smart kid, the vocabulary is there, but like, I don't want you getting hurt. So like, I don't want to put crazy pressure on you, but like, for you to do something like this to help bulletproof yourself for the season might make some sense. And in the same breath, when he came to the gym the other day, his buddy David was here and he wanted to play with David more than he wanted to work out. So what did I do? Go play with David. Go have fun. You're 12. It's not that big of a deal. But like, I don't know, there's a line there. And it's such a hard line as a parent. Neither one of us has answers. We are smart and good looking and not that old, but we don't have all the answers. So that was.
And once I remind myself that, because once I realize that, then it's like, okay, like, just doing the best I can. And so far it seems to be going pretty good. We'll know, verdict will be back in a few years. But it is. And I feel like, I remember for me, when I was small, I played, soccer, like easy thing to do. I wish I had wrestled. Western Pennsylvania.
I wish I wrestled.
Yeah,
that's my biggest regret. I didn't wrestle. Why did I play basketball? 5'10"? I wasn't 5'10", 5'9" and 3/4. Why am I trying to play basketball? At least you're tall. You have an excuse to play basketball. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but the coordination was not my thing, so I kind of was eliminated from that. But we played lots of stuff, right? We swim lessons. We did all kinds of things. And I do remember because unfortunately I had the chance to go from high school to play college at a Division II school and get it paid for. And my football coach was like, yeah, his footwork is good. I was a defensive lineman. I was 6'3", 225, 230. And one of the things that he sold about me was my footwork. I could move well. And my mom's like, well, that probably came from playing soccer all those years, right? And I played soccer for a bunch of years, up into middle school. Played baseball, sat the bench a lot, played, little basketball, but those things carry over. And as I grew out of soccer, right, because there's kind of you can look around and see what types of bodies are playing what sports, right, for the most part. And I just outgrew soccer, so to speak. And it helped me for football. And for our son, same thing, lacrosse. Like, just keep up, man. If you can keep up with these guys, eventually you'll be fine when you get to be with your own size dudes. Lacrosse helped basketball. He's played basketball. I feel like basketball helps with footwork and jumping. Football, you've probably heard John Wellborn. It's a set of combined skills from different things, and so I'm an advocate of. I believe that as well, and so Parker picked up that. But what I did also like, what we also did is we put him in other things like swimming. We put him in for a short period of time, beach volleyball. He was like one of 2 dudes in our area that did beach volleyball for a season or whatever. And for me, again, do something, pick it up, learn something. But the thing that I liked, as you mentioned, those physical skills, transferable skills, leadership skills, was the aspect. Parker, my son, is very team oriented. He's like me. He loves the team. He loves people. Loves having a group around him, loves competing with the group. He is not an individual competitor, right? So when it came to swimming, he's like, this is not so much fun. I'm like, well, okay, but there's something to learn. And same thing. One of the things I like about wrestling is it is you and only you, or any other individual sport, whether it's tennis or something. I mean, as we kind of steered it, intentionally tried to get him in different scenarios of, all right, this is your individually competing here. You're doing your own thing, not what he loves. Our daughter, Maya, I think would be more of a better individual competitor. She still plays a team thing, softball, basketball. But the pitching thing, it's very individualized, and we see it now. I saw it last night at her game. When you got the ball, everyone's watching, and when you mess up or do great, it's all on you. She handles that much better than he does. But I think there's value for all those things, and so
I could not agree more. I think just watching my kids go from wrestling to soccer being more of the team thing, wrestling being you're on an island by yourself. No one's coming to save you. I think that mental piece helps the soccer because like, hey, the ball's out there. Somebody's got to make that stop. Somebody's got you can blame it on the kid behind you, but like if you make that stop, that's so much better. But then to also have sometimes the individual sports are tough, so to have that, like, for you to support your, like, I'm glad you went 3-0 at the tournament, but like, you want your teammates to do that too, because you want them to come to practice the next day and work. So you work and you get better. I could not agree with you more. And not only the physical piece, but I think that the mental side of everything.
Yeah. And it's the stuff that I can't give. I mean, I can tell my son, when it's tough, you should grit it out and grind through, or you gotta, whenever you're there, you gotta fight your way to the end, whatever it is, whether you're down or up. But I mean, these are things that they just have to experience. And we know that, and we've been through that. And I think for us also as parents, like, if we can create those opportunities, then great. And also keeping in mind that, when we did beach volleyball, it wasn't with hopes of like, well, we're going to move to California or Florida and we're going to chase the AVP tour, right? It's like, he's going to go out there and it's going to look awful because he's never done it. And he's surrounded by people he doesn't know. And it's all new things. He has zero IQ for the sport, but you know what? He's going to learn to move better because he's going to be running through sand. And even the other stuff, I'm trying to think for our daughter, we did soccer, she did swimming as well. And for some of that, it was like, okay, we want you to learn how to work hard, right? It's a 2-hour practice. It's not fun, but you've got to get through it and you can't hide, right? You're either swimming or you're not. And so helping them keep that in mind. And again, blessed with the time and ability and energy to make those things work, to get to those practices and stuff. But I just think it was also good, but maybe one of the biggest things, and I didn't get to do this they both got a chance to be coached by other people. Parker, not so much. I coached all his stuff from, well, not all of it, most of it, early soccer, early basketball, early baseball. I coached everything. And it was really hard for me to kind of keep that line of dad coach between he and I. And it was ridiculously hard for him. And so once he got to middle school, I think one of the best things was I wasn't his coach. Like I've had to not try and be coach at home as well. And I think that's why he likes lacrosse and basketball the most, because I know the least about those two things. But it was really tough because I loved it. I would coach it and I would get from other parents, all his buddies, oh, Coach Lewis, you're the best. Oh, so-and-so does whatever you say. Everything you say is gold. I'm like, well, that's great. How do I get my kid to listen to that or think that? And I've learned it doesn't work that way. But I think helping them get with other coaches and just know like my daughter can backtalk or roll her eyes at me. Well, she can't do that with Coach Michaela. She's not going to put up with that. So that's the other blessing of the second kid, or the benefit for the second kid is I'm like, okay, I'm coaching less of your stuff, right? You need to go out and get these experiences and I'll throw a ball with you in the backyard or whatever. But for our first one, I was all over, I was all over his stuff because I enjoyed it. Like that was my thing. I loved coaching. I loved helping kids. I should have just been smart enough to realize it sooner that I will coach a different team, not his team or something else. Because it was too tough. And for us, even at the time, again, I mentioned we homeschooled. I was the homeschool teacher, right? And so it was 24/7, dad, blah, 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 blah. And whether it was multiplication or how to run a pick and roll, he was just like, whatever, Dad, I'm tuned out. So if I was going to get some advice, I would, and I've heard this also. So you'll recognize Raph Ruiz. Same thing. When I talked with him, because they were homeschoolers as well, and he's like, no, I don't coach Raider. He's like, I'll help. I'll get him there. I'll do stuff. We'll train, do some other things, but I don't coach him. And that kind of set me on the trail of segueing out of coaching my kids' stuff. So that was a lesson learned.
Louis, I love it. What did we miss? What do you wish I would have asked you that we haven't talked about yet?
Good question. I should
have given you some heads up on that one.
No, that's all right. It's good. Be on my feet. I think because I like the vein we've been on with parents, with athletes, because that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, right? If it's not work stuff, I'm parenting or whatever it is. And I think that we, maybe just to make sure everyone knows, like, if you're doing the best you can, then that's what you've got, right? I know if my kid was 5'6", not 6'5", some sports may be we may have a different outlook on it. And I feel like it needs to be whatever they want and he wants. And even if he was 5'6" and wanted to play football, I think that's fine. Go do what you want to do. But I do, as a parent, I'm realizing, try not to wreck it, right? I mean, enjoy the things that are there and enjoy the things that work for your family, your dynamic, and don't play the comparison game. I know that for me, and we mentioned it before recording, connecting with my kid, right? Like it's been very tough, honestly, for me with Parker. I'm not an expert. I'm not working with pro athletes. I do know more than the common person. I feel like I know a good bit as far as training, helping athletes, performance people succeed at a low level, right? I never wanted to chase a college professional position, but helping beginners, helping athletes, helping kids, I think I'm pretty good at it. And wanting to do that for my son, and then also maybe not being able to do that because he's my son, I'm his dad, and I'm trying to not make that mistake with my daughter. It's tough. We got to keep it in check. And I told you about the video game story. And so it's been a lot of action for me professionally this last year plus, actually. So I bought in as a co-owner of the gym last summertime. It was about a 1.5 year process of connecting, coaching, training, working, figuring out things with the owner at the time. And, it was everything I asked for. I also asked for this other stuff of, kind of helping run this lacrosse team and then helping do this other thing and sign up for this, my daughter's softball coaching, assistant coaching. And it's a lot. And on top of that, trying to be a good spouse. And then with my parenting my kids. And so last year was a lot. I mean, I wasn't home at all a lot during the summertime. I was busy. And that's just kind of just with owning the business and things like that. But recently, I've tried to just be a dad, and I don't blow Parker up about too much. He knows I want the weight room report, right? What'd you do today? Did you squat good? I don't care how much it was. Did you squat good? He knows I want that report. He gives it to me. But trying to connect has been tough because I've got adult stuff to go do. I don't have time to just sit and waste time, whatever it is. But at the constant request of my wife and then finally giving in, I started playing video games with Parker. And so I now will self-admit I love video games. I could play them all night, every night. I could totally do that. I like two things. I like Madden football and I like Call of Duty. I haven't played them very often lately, but in an effort to connect with my son, because I am really trying to do the best I can during his and my daughter's teenage years, I was like, hey, bro, let's play some video games. And so we go upstairs and we do the Xbox. And I love telling this story because I think it reflects greatly on him. I go upstairs and he's like, oh, well, this Call of Duty isn't loaded up or it's not ready. I'm like, what about this one? What about that one? He's like, oh, we can't do that, but we played a racing game. So we had fun with that. And the next day, he's like, hey, Dad, come upstairs. I want to show you something. I want to tell you what happened, what I got. I'm like, okay. So I go up and he's like, check it out. Like, I got Call of Duty for us. And my son's a miser. He does not spend his own money on anything, but he gave my wife the $60, which for me, that's a lot for a video game. I don't know if that's standard or not, but he's like, hey, I gave Mom $60. I paid for this game. We can play this together. And I really was like, man, thanks, bro. Like, even thinking about it, it makes me feel really good about who he is and what he did because, man, it's tough. It's tough. Raising kids. I mean, a lot of things are tough, but man, when you got teenagers and kids and you're trying to balance this and that, and it's tough and you don't know if you're doing a good job or not, we'll know in a few years. But it was so cool to see him do that for me. And we do that now, right? We go up every so often, we play some video games. It's amazing how fast an hour or so goes when you're just, on these ridiculous missions and picking up this grenade launcher or whatever it is. But it's super good. And I feel like, honestly, for a lot of time, I thought video games were stupid and I thought he was wasting his time. I thought he could be lifting weights. I thought he should be studying. I thought he should be reading a book. I thought he should be doing a lot of things that I wanted him to do. But I realized, because my wife is so much smarter than me, she's like, look, that's his time. Like, he is on, and he is. And I'm sure it's not very different than a lot of other kids. From the time they wake up, 20 minutes before the bus is here to get him, he's on, right? He's being a teenager. He's navigating social. He's navigating his kids or his buddies. He's navigating teachers, schoolwork, coaches. I mean, it's a full ass day of work for those guys and gals out there. And when he comes home on a Friday and he just wants to play video games for a couple of days and zone out, man, I thought it was so stupid, but now I get it. And I'm joining him, right? Because I need that too. For me, for my sanity in a sense, I need to just get away from the phone, get away from stuff. And I enjoy that. But man, I tell you what, I love connecting because he's telling me to do this. I think he loves it whenever I mess up a mission or I get picked off or something. He's like, "Oh, Dad, you're such a noob." I'm like, okay, whatever. I think he likes seeing me struggle that way. But it's been cool. It's been really good. And for that hour, it's just been a good respite from my stuff, hopefully him from his stuff. But then for us, I like that, and we're going to keep doing that. And I want to find this way to do it with my daughter as well, because whether they go on and play sports or they quit, they hate it, whatever, I don't know. But there's so much more life beyond high school sports. And there's so much more life beyond college sports if you get blessed to play that. Man, I don't want my kids looking back and be like, man, my dad's an idiot or a jerk. I don't want to be around him as an adult, right? I don't think anybody wants that. So I feel like this was a really good step for me to start trending that way. And I would encourage everyone to do that, right? Maybe your kid doesn't play video games. Maybe they're into art. Maybe they listen to music. I don't know. But find that thing to connect with them. And I think once you do that, there'll be some better connections. And maybe you get some, preserve some of your own sanity. And I don't mean to impose it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that already do that, right? A lot of people that already have it figured out. I just didn't figure it out till recently. So I'm excited about that.
Dude, I think the hardest thing in the world in this day and age is to be a kid growing up. Like, growing up back when we did, without the social media thing and whatnot. And hey, what are you doing with your friends on Saturday night? Hanging out? Yeah. What are you? Oh, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna go over to Mike's and figure it out. Oh, that's what. And now it's different. I think it's tougher. It's not a time I would want to grow up in. And the only job that I think is probably harder is to parent those kids at this time. And to see and I'm going back to our volleyball group of these seniors that we have right now. And I've known a lot of these parents now for 4, 5, 6 years, and it's how they have poured into their kids. And I think it's hard, because I think it's a fine line between being crazy parent who no, there's no video games, you go back out and practice more, versus hey, this is your time, you need to relax and stuff like that. I think it's a challenging fine line to walk, and I think we fall off both sides at times, and what we want is not necessarily maybe what the kid wants, and it just it's challenging. I think for you to be as open as what you are with this, and just to let parents know, listeners know, like, I feel like I'm very dialed in to this. You are obviously very dialed into this. And when I say this, I mean not only the parenting thing, but like this progression that you played collegiate football. Like, you understand what it takes to, if you want to play in college and stuff. And it's not easy, and it's a ton of hard work, but like it's a marathon, not a sprint. And at least you have to enjoy the process, because if you hate the process, at some point you're just going to be like, I'm done. And I've seen tons of kids that have given up on sports much earlier than what I thought they would, just because they were tired of it. They were tired of the grind. It wasn't fun for them anymore. And this should be enjoyable. This should be fun. This should be, something where you create long lasting relationships that are, of people that you like, players and coaches, players and player. Like it should just be, I shouldn't say be a family, but it should be kind of an extension. It should be something that's really, really enjoyable. And if all parents thought like you did, or you do, bud, gosh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. So I appreciate those words. But you're right. Like I said, I've got old teammates that if I said, "Hey man, I need help," they would help me right away. So it is. I mean, and that's why I think for me, I had such a special and enjoyable experience. I want that for other people too, right? And if you're not playing sports, if you're in the arts, if you're in theater, whatever it is, like it's the same thing, right? I just want you to find what you're made for and what's made for you, and go enjoy that, because we're all in it together. But yeah, when it comes to sports, like I love it. I really do, and I want those kids to have it, and I want the parents to enjoy it too, right? I mean, for along for the ride, it shouldn't be all hell for us either. So yeah.
I think it's funny at this point that just being friends with a lot of these parents at this point, when watching them go out, and hey, we have a volleyball tournament this weekend. The parents find ways to have fun, in responsible manners, because it's, I hate to say it, and I mean, you probably see this too, but like these people end up becoming your friends because these are the people that you're hanging out with all the time. So, let's enjoy this process and have some fellowship and, and really have fun. So.
Absolutely. We do it too. That's how we suckered more kids into playing lacrosse, is like, hey, we'll stop at the way back from Austin. So, yeah, it is. I do. I want to further that. And, I do. I think if parents can do that, more parents can do that. I think we'll see a lot less articles about some of the ridiculousness that happens at youth sports, So yeah, any way I can help you further that message, further your message, I'm all for it, man. Count me in.
There we go. Louis, I appreciate your time. If people want to see what you're doing, follow what you're doing, they like what you're saying, they want to hear more, where do they go?
So I don't do a whole lot on social media directly for me, but I don't know, maybe this prompts me to do more. I was pretty active with my personal Instagram. Well, not personal, my personal professional Instagram, the Athlete's Journey Coaching. So I do have one on there. I haven't posted for a while because I've been focused on the main gym stuff for recently. But Athlete's Journey Coaching, I'll put some more resources on there. I usually just post up my homeschool kids and some of the kids I've trained individually, small group. The other one where I spend most of my effort, and again, still bring the same heart and effort and approach, is our gym one, where it's a Sport Hall _NB. So SPORT HALLE_NB. We're pretty active on Instagram on there. My personal one, I don't know, I don't do a whole lot of that, but I do post my kids' sports stuff on there. Louis, what is it? Louis Jamison, Louis PT Jamison. I don't even know. I should know this. That shows you how much I post on there. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it is. There was a time I was more active with when I was focused more on the youth training side, but now as a gym co-owner, that's kind of taken a lot more time and effort and responsibility. So I focus on that, but fully intend to get back to working with youth. Once I get done with my kids, right? I mean, it's one of the sacrifices I've made, is I don't coach many kids in the evening because I'm with my kids doing their sports, watching their sports. So I will, once I get done, there'll be more kids that need to be taught how to squat, how to lift weights. I'll be right there to help them once my kids get where they're going to go. But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you putting me out there and inviting me on here. This is great. So I appreciate it.
No, Louis, this is amazing. I think you just have a really nice, head on your shoulders with this whole thing, from parenting to coaching to, husbanding. It's always hard. You now own a business. Over the last 12 years of owning Oak, I literally feel like I'm just spinning plates 24/7. And like, there have been a couple times where I sit back going, oh, okay, they're all spinning. I feel good. But then the second I feel good, 6 plates end up falling all at the same time. Oh my God, what just happened here? Like, I had this under control a second ago. And then, so I respect you and what you're doing, and just the mindset that you have, going into these kids. Cause I think sadly we get too busy and we get inundated with all the social media stuff, and we see, look how great this athlete is. This athlete's amazing. Oh, my son did this amazing thing. And I want people to promote their kids and do good things. And, that's awesome. That's awesome. But then all of a sudden parents start comparing, be like, you're not as good as Joey. Look how hard Joey's working. Why isn't Joey? And like, oh, Like your kid's 6. Like relax. Like, hey, pump the brakes here.
I laugh, but that's real. Man, I've had parents call me say, we want you to train our son. He's going to be doing football. He's not running real well. He runs a little slow. We want to fix that. I'm like, okay, well, how old is he? He's 8. I'm like, man, this is really one of those. So yeah, we laugh, but it's true. It's true. You're right on.
Okay,
so,
we're gonna set up a program here. It's gonna be called Tag at Recess. Okay, can we get this done? Recess, and we're playing tag. Nothing but tag for those 15 minutes. We got to get after it. We got to work hard. Are you ready for it? You know.
Yeah. Just go play, go be kids, and that's the funniest thing. I'll trick them into playing a game, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I'm really out of breath." It's like, all right, conditioning's done.
Yeah.
So.
Mission accomplished. There we go. Louis, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you're the man, sir. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. All right, thanks, Adam.
Awesome, bud. Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Don't forget to check us out on the social at Oak Performance and online at www.oakstrength.com/Oak Performance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.